Obviously, it's outstanding. We've been working since 2010 trying to get APIs embedded within Pearson, and probably 90% of what we do is actually trying to educate Pearson on the value of APIs as much as our external clients. And so I think Digital Visionary is just a reflection of what I and my team and a ref and generally this whole technology at Group has been able to do in terms of turning Pearson around and really understanding there's innate value in exposing APIs. And then in terms of best developer experience, we actually, when we started APIs, we didn't have an API program. And so we've literally gone from worst developer experience because there was no experience. There was just two guys talking about how you would do this, to actually learning how you actually run a developer program, how you engage with developers, how you actually get them up to speed. And so it's been a really exciting journey from, like, literally seems like we pissed off everybody in our universe, and we've now converted them into, a very tight community of people who want to change education. And we're no longer, like, APIs aren't part of that conversation again, because we know what we've delivered and what they can use is just part of the experience today. Wow, there's so many different assets or aspects of doing that. I think the number one thing is what we call time to first hello world. And so if you look at metrics, a lot of it is how many keys have you delivered, how many transactions do you have. Our number one metric is how quickly a developer can come in there and build what we call a hello world application, because that's what they're looking to do. They want to come in, they don't want to talk to you, they want to very quickly understand what your APIs are about, what you can do with that, and quickly be able to start creating something. If it's something that takes several weeks, they'll likely move on to another project. And so, as I said, that we went from worst developer experience, we've gone literally from 4 weeks from a developer being able to use our APIs to literally probably within 6 to 8 hours. And so that's been our primary focus in terms of really understanding what a developer was looking for. The second aspect of this, and I think this is something that you're not seeing a lot, is actually educating the business community. So in our world, the developer actually is the person who takes the idea and kind of puts it to life, if you will. But the reality is that you have to convince the business that there's a worthwhile objective here. And so we have switched a lot of our, what I would say, marketing effort and evangelism to the business community, so that enables the developer to actually be able to do things quicker because they actually get it. It's no longer the developer coming up with this great idea trying to convince the CTO of ROI. Now there's a real problem. The business is coming to the developer, and the developer's, oh yeah, I can do X, Y, and Z. And so I think that went into the award, was actually taking this pressure off of the developers so they could focus on actually doing what they do best, developing. So that challenge is ongoing. The challenge with a company like Pearson, I think we have 45,000 people. We're global. We run, we have our own colleges, our institutions of higher ed. We have print publishing, we have video, we have teachers, we have exams. So we have a lot of different assets. And if you can imagine trying to figure out the one thing that fits all of this approach is literally insanity. And I think that was the original challenge, is that we're trying to educate a company on the value of APIs without putting into it use cases that these folks would actually understand. So as with our clients, we started marketing to the business side of that. It's the same thing within the organization of Pearson. So we never speak about APIs, we speak about capabilities. So what could you do if you had this capability, and this capability today? And that's a very, very different conversation. Now, unfortunately, we've gotten the company, I think, pretty set with APIs. Now there's the term platform. And the term platform, You know, I think there should be like a platform anonymous, just because the definitions change so quickly. And so where the company was trying to get their head around an API, now the big question is, okay, do we have a platform? Should we build a platform? What's the ROI on the platform? And it just seems like there's a never-ending continuum in terms of education. And so I don't believe we will ever get to the point of educating the company. I think we will get to the point in which there's a certain amount of trust that we develop because they can do things quicker and faster. They can create new channels. They're seeing all kinds of these innovative ideas coming out of these weird marketplaces, and so there's a trust. And traditionally, in any type of engineering product partnership, especially in a large company, you see that there's a climate of mistrust between those two organizations. So ideally what we do is we focus on developing that trust while we're educating them, and then some things they'll take like at face value as opposed to, you know, hey, this is what we do. So a really interesting question. So just a side note, we went from a product to a platform. In today's vernacular, that would be an experience platform. So now we're designing a product platform so we can develop experience platforms quicker on top of that. If you have that conversation, they give me the same look like you did, like, whoa, what are you talking about? Or you probably know it, but that's just, it's a lot of acronyms. Again, it comes down to capabilities and speed in what you can do. By the way, you're developing a new homework experience for students. That was a 2-year publishing product. Guess what? You can now focus on what you do best, which is creating great content, and you don't have to worry about the delivery mechanism. That's what the platform will bring to you. You can now be very innovative very quickly, get it out very quickly, see how it works, and it's not that, and tweak it. And I think that's the other value that we're working on is this notion of quick feedback. So one of Pearson's big strategies moving forward is efficacy. And what we mean by efficacy is basically proving the value of a product from a student's perspective. It will increase your grade by an average of 10 points or something like this. The cool thing we have now with the platform is that you can put something out, you have a great feedback loop just from the people who are using it, but you also have data that's feeding back into our system that they can analyze and tweak it. And so, whereas before, 2 to 3 years, we would create a new textbook and hope we got it right. No, if you didn't, okay, well, 2 to 3 years, you're going to have another one. Now it's literally a matter of months and sometimes weeks that you can actually correct that, and a continuous development process, if you will. And so again, I think it comes back to 1, understanding, and then 2, really trust that what we say this technology can do, they're able to see it firsthand. Absolutely, and I think I say this every time I'm asked that question, is find the company like Apigee, or better yet, find Apigee. Because if you go it alone, there are so many things that you're just unaware of. It's the unknown. And what we found with working with Apigee, or finding like a mentor company, somebody else who has a great API program, and listening, they will save you a tremendous amount of time in terms of kind of reinventing the wheel over and over and over again. There now is certainly a recipe for success in how do you run an API program. There's basic things, key management, spike arrest, rate limiting, being able to get alerts when certain things go kind of off the wall, like if you get too many transactions. These are all things that I care about, but as an employee of Pearson, I really don't. That should not be my bailiwick. My care is how do we create a much better educational experience. And so, again, to answer the question, find somebody who has done it. There are recipes for success. Talk to these people, and then figure out really where your value is and what you want to invest in. And at the end of the day, typically, your value is the value going through the API, not the infrastructure that goes around kind of supporting this structure. So you want the long story or the short? All right, so we've started partnering with Apigee in 2010, and we had we didn't have a love-hate relationship with Apigee, but I had very much a love-hate relationship with IT and developers. They saw me as the devil, because basically I was a big proponent of bringing in API management software. If nothing else, it's just, you know, doing this for a while, you know what you don't know. So we had a pretty rocky relationship for 2 years. Apigee did a great job helping us understand what we're trying to accomplish without selling the product. And despite the fact that we had all of this empirical data and actual test data that showed how valuable it could be, we continued to have issues with IT and the development side saying, no, we want to own this. And then a shift came, I would say roughly in 2014. One was that we brought in a very progressive CTO who really understood the value of partnering as opposed to inventing from here. And as they say, the rest is history. Now we've actually adopted Apigee at a global scale. All APIs going through Pearson are developed by Pearson, are front-ended by Apigee. And so it's a big step. I love APIs because of creativity. So that's the worst question you could have answered or asked me. And the reason for that is that, especially today, I grew up very much artist, creative, got into technology because it paid well, and then all of a sudden, and this was back, APIs have been around forever. It's just certain forces have made them generally popular now. But when I started leveraging APIs, I was able to focus on the creative aspects of developing an application. I didn't care about how I interacted with the database. I didn't care about how fast things were. I wanted that visual experience, and APIs as a developer has given me that ability to do it. APIs as a product owner now gives me the ability to talk to partners and say, or to clients and say, I want you to paint me your world. Blue sky, what do you want to see? And I will tell you how to do it. You may not be using all of our APIs, you could use them from somewhere else, but the reality is that today more than ever, if you have an idea, you can actually bring that to fruition because of APIs. And then the last thing on that, so APIs have enabled creativity in the software world, right? There's a company called LittleBits, which I absolutely loved. Basically, LittleBits is a set of hardware components, much like APIs, that you can actually put together to do something. And these have been wired to the web through a product called IFT. And so yesterday, I could model software, build it very quickly with APIs. With the notion of LittleBits type of technology, I can not only model software, I can model hardware. So where APIs really are putting creativity back in the hands of individual people who have these really great ideas, the concept of LittleBits is doing that same thing from a hardware perspective. And so now I can develop for the Internet of Things, things that are really meaningful to me in my home ecosystem, if you will, without having to buy a product or wait for that actually to come to market. And so I think you will see a revolution, not only in terms of just what APIs are doing to the software industry, but what hardware is actually going to enable us to do. And so it's getting so much more exciting.